So, as you can tell, I'm not a Kiwi. I originally come from America. Apologies on that. No worries, I'm a resident now, so it's all good. And I have just completed my doctoral studies in the School of Engineering and Computer Science, as well as NZSM, the New Zealand School of Music, as part of the Sonic Engineering Lab for Creative Technology, which the acronym is SELECT. We spent many hours and many beers trying to come up with that one. But basically what I wanted to talk to you about today, I gave Alicia a number of talks that I could have given, including this huge problem that we do have in the School of Engineering and Computer Science, as well as throughout industry and throughout really the world, actually. But I thought it was more important that we talk about interdisciplinary research, which is an even more niche topic, especially given the very vast differences between the disciplines of music and engineering. So, what is music engineering? When people asked, so what is music engineering? They sometimes envision me being a DJ. Sometimes they think I'm doing audio engineering, like the wonderful tech support that we got here. Some people think that you're recording, you're a producer or an audio engineer, recording CDs or recording bands, yeah. Live sound engineering, I've gotten that too. Then sometimes they even go so far as to think of not the engineering thing, but also the programming thing. Oh, do you program your own VSTs? Do you design your own reverb? Do you learn how to make software that is technology-based? And the answer is yes, 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 yes. Because I went through the training to learn all of these things. So, how did this begin? Well, we'll start back from when Diana was a little wee one, 8 years old. I decided I wanted to study music, or at least my parents did, and I started playing flute. That actually sustained through middle school, through high school, up through university. And so I studied this flute pretty well. I actually got pretty darn good too. Performed with orchestras and got solos and whatnot. But I realized that there was something more that I could do to that, could add to that, which was this music engineering. But the other part of it is this computer science and actual electronic engineering, right? So it's not just about learning, what a Fourier transform is. Anybody know what that is? Anyone? Oh, good. Tell me later. Not just learning all of these tech terms, but also learning about, can you write Objective-C? Oh gosh, we don't use Objective-C anymore. It's Swift now, right? Yeah. In order to design apps to do this, these music engineering techniques, right? So it's kind of a combination of all of those. Now, I approached it from a very unique perspective where I came in as a musician who liked her maths and science classes when she was younger, but really had no experience with programming until I got to university. But the thing is a lot of my colleagues, by the way, music engineering technology, we also have 25-75 ratio of female and non-binary to male, basically. It's a pretty low percentage kind of across the board. But we have people who come from many different backgrounds. Maybe they came from a coding background and they really wanted to know how they could make that code useful. Digital signal processing. There are musical ways of looking at digital signal processing. And so kind of my colleagues, I realized that there are multiple ways of coming about to this degree. But I did my undergraduate studies over at the Frost School of Music, which means nothing to any of you Kiwis, but it's the University of Miami over in Florida, my home state, where I studied flute performance, music engineering technology, and computer science. And the reason I had to do a triple major is because back in the early well, we won't say how old I am, a while ago, they didn't have interdisciplinary degrees where you could just do one degree that took all of the majors. So it actually took me a few more years to accomplish this, but I sustained through it somehow and got 3 majors. It then led me to not just do 1, but 2 master's degrees. I really don't know. I feel like I should regret that a little bit. People call me a professional student, but really I love learning, and I loved wanting to get the experience of learning at Karma and at ASU, the Arizona State University, which if you hear about any party school in America, it's that one. It's hilarious. But I actually studied media arts and sciences rather than drinking. And Karma is actually Stanford University. Now, I'm a very bubbly and energetic personality, right? And just like Valerie was talking in her talk, it's very difficult for people who have different personalities to find a sense of peace or place in a degree program. And I can say that music engineers are just like typical, computer science or electrical engineers, very introverted, very quiet. To be honest, I actually scare most of them. But I knew that it's very hard to be taken seriously when you have a personality like mine, right? And so as part of my studies and as part of my desire to try to help others join this field and to champion women in tech, women in music tech, I knew that having a substantial degree on my CV would be pretty important. So I worked very hard. I applied to Stanford. I didn't get in the first year. But then I applied the second year, and I got in, and I attended. And it was fantastic, okay? I have got to say that that was a huge turning point in my life, not just because it's Stanford University, big deal. The big deal is that I actually have several, $1 million of debt now to take care of. It's a very expensive school to attend, but it provided me with the actual, the up-to-date, state-of-the-art tech that was happening at the time, which was like 10 years ago now, so it's out of date. But then it then led me to Arizona State, where I was able to work on a National Science Foundation grant. It's American National Science Foundation, sorry. But I got to work on a grant doing sound design, which is another part of music engineering technology, for stroke rehabilitation. So as part of my studies, some of it was by planning, some of it was by chance. The work that I did at ASU I found most challenging, right? Because I was working on an interdisciplinary team of bioengineers, computer scientists, statistical people. We had a visual artist, and then we had me, the little music girl. But through all of my years and years and years and years and years and years and years of schooling, it led me to have that personality and that capability of working on a team, which is, again, something that Valerie brought up in her talk, right? Working on a team with people you have virtually no connection to is something that's extremely important. And I'm glad that I had that opportunity, because now I can encourage that for the students that we work with in the School of Engineering. So I know that you probably think PhDs love to talk about their research. Yeah, some of us do, and me not so much, but I will give you a little brief rundown. So my dissertation scope was around music informatics, music technique, music performance, which have some fancy things assigned to it. We got some DSP, we got some electronic music composition, we also have some computer music analysis stuff. So I was basically doing all of these things. I wanted to advance the state-of-the-art of gesture data capture, okay? As well as, the hybrid signal analysis techniques. So this is where I start talking about that real techie stuff. I built a hardware interface for the flute, okay? It took me a couple of iterations, which took up a couple of chapters there, And then I built 2 software analysis techniques. And the reason I brought this to this discussion is you might have a non-STEM hobby, and then you might have learned or have been practicing your STEM techniques. It's possible to actually combine those, painting and technology, right? Music and technology. I can't even think of anything that's artistic, but there are so many different ways that you can bridge the gap between your arts and your technology side. And this is something that I've strived for throughout many of my many years of education. Then I went and I designed a visual feedback system, right? So it was interacting in real time with the data that was coming in from the sensors that I had built and the analysis techniques that I had done. But the thing is you don't have to have had all of the years and years and years and years and years of training that I did in order to accomplish what I have. It's important that you try to look for things that can help you join your passions. My passion was music and maths and sciences, right? And I paved and worked through majority of my life, all of my adult life, towards achieving this. But the thing is now I look back on it, and you know what? I could have taken a lot simpler, easier, cheaper path than I did. There was no social media when I was in undergraduate, which probably dates me a little bit. You know, online resources weren't very popular. There was no Google. You know, nowadays we have all of these resources at our disposal in order to achieve what I have done. And so I'm telling you about the hard way that I have done it, which makes me even more appreciate and be able to champion people to use the easy way. There are lots of easy ways to kind of get quick results than going through the difficult path that I did. I got some pretty pictures up here to show you some of my data analysis. In case you don't know what a flute looks like, that's in there on the bottom. That's my hardware interface. I did some Python work to get some gesture capture from the armbands that you see. Here as well, it had an IMU in it. Actually, I think it was just an accelerometer, and then it did you know, muscle movement and whatnot. This is an audio signal, in case you've never seen an audio signal, where I built an onset detector in order to determine when a note happened and when it did not. And the hybrid part of it was using gesture to help train that audio onset detector. So, real quickly, wrapping it up, I did a fusion of technology, music, techniques, and research in order to study the acronyms are fun, but they're easy for when you're making presentations like this because it very quickly summarizes everything that you've discussed. I've kind of quickly gone through this in order to help us get a little bit back on schedule, but if you have any questions, I am more than willing to talk to you about any of the above. And if, in particular, just to close up, if you do have any thoughts or musings on, especially the School of Engineering and Computer Science, where I work as the graduate and equity coordinator, as we said, you know, I'm new to this position, not new to the university, but I'm new to this position. It was just created in January in order to help all of the postgraduate students and our female and non-binary students in the school, both undergraduate and graduate. And so we're still designing, and we're still planning, and we're still sorting out what we can actually do. Some of it is based on Valerie's research, some of it is based on other entities, you know, non-disclosure, redacted things. But I'm more than willing to have a chat with anybody about this. So thank you very much. Any questions? None? Really? Sweet. Yes?
You mentioned earlier that part of your PhD research was in a field called DSC. What is that? What does it stand for?
Digital signal processing. Yes. So I did audio digital signal processing. yeah, so it's kind of a very large field. Signal processing is actually very popular in electronic engineering, to look at how the signals are coming in over the electronics. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. But digital signal processing is very much an engineering thing, but we look at it from an audio perspective. Because a signal is a signal. Any other questions?
As an extrovert working in a field dominated by introverts, were there any tricks that you learned for bridging the gap?
I don't mean to cause a giggle with this because it's very serious, but I approach them carefully. I really don't mean to, but it is something. You have to be very aware of how your personality affects others. And so most people look at me and my husband, who's very much an introvert and very much the opposite of what I am, and they're like, I don't understand how we two are together, and how did you not already scare him off? But it's about understanding what the other personality is. I've gone to many kind of professional development workshops, and I've learned tools like somebody who's more introverted. If you ask them a question and you're an extrovert, wait 5 or 10 seconds for them to actually come up with the answer. It's true. I'm not going to start talking about psychology, but it's true. Because introverts approach questions in a much different way than extroverts. I always have an answer. As soon as you ask me a question, I always have an answer, but I have to understand that not everybody will have the answer immediately, because it takes time to come up with what you want to say. So they're approaching carefully and understanding that there are different types of personalities, and just being tolerant of those personalities. That's what has caused me to sustain through it and still even continue my studies. Anyone else? Yep, in the back there.
Diana, do you think boys' schools are part of the problem?
So that's a very interesting question. There aren't that many gender-specific schools in America, so that's actually something new that I was exposed to when I got here. And in going to the girls' schools, it seems like sounds weird to say, but just a normal school, very similar to the ones that I went to, which were co-ed. However, I've actually not been to a boys' school because most of our outreach is done in the girls' schools. So I'm not sure where that kind of difference is happening. Someone who's more experienced with that would probably have a better answer. I'm not sure what they're being taught. I'm not sure about the personalities that are being encouraged or dissuaded. I'm just not sure. Anyone else? It's just hard to see with the lights, that's all. Cool. Thank you very much, everyone.